the snug fit. This is the old way that the New Era hats would feel. What happened in November of 1864? That's where the name came from. I can't really think of any other teams that are based off of a tragedy that happened to a city. I think that the South shall rise again. My hottest hat to date. Hello, class! Welcome to another hat reveal video today. Today is hat number 149er. It's not a 49ers hat, I just like saying niner. So today, I have a hat that is really old school in terms of the team. The team has been since debunked and folded. We'll go into the history of the hat and the team. This hat is from a team that has been since folded. It lasted only a few seasons in its respective league, and I will go over the history of it later on in the video. There's a bit of extra history to it other than just saying, bam, here's a hat, and roll credits, and we're done for the day. No. It's a historic team, in a sense. It had a lot of purpose into its league, its association, its sporting world. I thought it was important to have, and learning more of the history of it, getting the hat really kind of puts into perspective how this league really developed into what it is today and how it expanded because of this team and another team. And again, I'll get into the history of it later on in the video. Make sure you stick around for it. This hat I got from Trends Unlimited, guy out in Atlanta. He does these like garage sales that he has every once in a while. I see all these videos, I'm like, oh, that's a cool hat to get. Can I buy it? No, it's already sold like 3-4 weeks ago when the video released. I'm like, dang it. So he had a premiere of his hat sale video, and the first hat, I said, wow, that is a hat I have to get because of the historicness of it. So I figured for hat number 149, let's turn up the heat, shall we? Gonna be a hot one today, isn't it? Today I'm gonna reveal hat number 149 to you. My hottest hat to date. Oh, ow! Hot hat, ow! Oh, jeez. Look at all the St. Louis Cardinals and Green Bay Packer hats on fire now. Is that a Yankees hat? I think so. Class is in session. Be safe. Let's go. So yeah, that was a kind of a fun intro to do. I got a little bowl of water down here, and I counted 11 matches. So I had 11 takes on this intro. So until I got it to what was at least good enough. So this hat is hat number 149, like I mentioned. Got it from the hat garage sale from Trends Unlimited, and I saw this hat, knew I had to get it, and it was a cool hat that not a lot of people would get because, one, the team is defunct. Well, the old name of the team, where it had relocated from, is, you can't get that hat anymore on the shelf. And I thought it was a cool hat to have, very historic for hockey. And I posted it on Instagram, so if you remember what hat it is, then you already know. But otherwise, hat number 149 is the Atlanta Flames. This is a New Era 50-50, kind of an old school version. I can tell, especially with the different kind of design, the font from the sticker. And it's an all wool hat, 100% wool, made in the USA. I'll show that in a moment here. But let's look at the hat itself. Freeze frame. So on the front there is the Atlanta Flame logo, the original one. The flames are coming up to make that kind of little indent in the bottom of the A. Flames are rising up. I like the white, the hot whiteness of the flame outlining the inside of the A, or filling it. And it's outlined in red and yellow. Really cool logo. And if you've seen this before, I'll mention where you might have seen it if you watch hockey nowadays. On the side is a very faint red New Era flag. On the back is the NHL shield in the Flames colors. On the right side, nothing. On the top is red button and eyelets. On the inside here, the old tags, 7.5, New Era, yeah, and NHL. And then on the tag on the inside here, if you can, if I zoom in right, made in the USA, 100% wool. Let me put it on this for a second. So it's a snug hat, the snug fit. This is the old way that the New Era hats would feel until they, were shaped differently, made differently, so that a 7.5 now feels different than an older 7.5. Full on wool hats, it'll be easy to stretch out. I just have to figure out how to stretch it out, either using a hair dryer, apply heat, or get a hat jack sometime soon. So the history with the Atlanta Flames, they came about into the NHL National Hockey League in 1972. The team was created alongside the New York Islanders, who were the new tenants of the Nassau Veteran or Memorial Stadium in Long Island, New York. In the early 70s, the NHL was very constrictive and very tight grasping of the players in the league. That teams couldn't really let go of their players, and the players were just bound to their contracts and really made crappy money for even then. And they really couldn't get out of their contract because of these binding contract negotiations and clauses, and it was just impossible for the players to make more money and to leave their teams. So, in the early 70s, the WHA, World Hockey Association, came about and recruited a big name player, Bobby Hull, who was a Blackhawk player, and he joined the Winnipeg Jets to be one of the first, profound and credible members for the WHA to give them some credibility. And throughout the 10-year history of the WHA, they formed in cities that already had hockey teams and some places that didn't, like Houston was a place that didn't have a hockey team and now did. They recruited this old guy, Gordie Howe, if you ever heard of him, Mr. Hockey, and his two sons. They got Wayne Gretzky and the Alberta, later the Edmonton Oilers, and a bunch of other players. This guy, Mark Messier, if you ever heard of him. And this league was to compete with the NHL. So the NHL responded to forming the hastily made New York Islanders and the Atlanta Flames. The Atlanta Flames came about in 1972. They were named the Atlanta Flames, if you know your history. What happened in November of 1864? It was the beginning of the campaign for William Tecumseh Sherman's March to the Sea, where he started to burn down Atlanta and then proceed to tearing up the countryside in Georgia on his way to Savannah, Georgia. And kind of a cool thing that the Flames is based off of a tragedy for Atlanta. That's where the name came from. I can't really think of any other teams that are based off of a tragedy that happened to a city. Like we don't. Okay, we do have the Chicago Fire, and there's a great Chicago Fire in 1871. So other than that, with fires, I don't think that there are too many other places named after tragedies. So it was interesting that the Atlanta Flames were pretty decent. They went 6-for-8 in their tenure, making the playoffs. But when they made the playoffs, they were bad. They only won 2 games in their entire playoff stint whenever they made this playoffs. Eventually, the team moved to Calgary in 1980 and stuck with the name of the Flames. And since then, they've won a few Stanley Cups, and especially in 1989 being one of the most prominent years for them to win the Cup. And they've gone back to the Stanley Cup Finals. I believe it was 2004 when they played the Tampa Bay Lightning, before the lockout of 04-05. Now, if you have watched the Calgary Flames, if you're a big fan of the Calgary Flames, you will see that for their alternate captains have a A on the upper side of the jersey here. They use this original A of the Atlanta Flames on their alternate captain jerseys for the insignia. Kind of a cool thing. Eventually, going back with the WHA, the whole organization and association just folded. It was a bad situation. Teams kept selling off, kept folding, and just it was a bad situation. And 4 teams came out of the WHA to merge and expand. That kind of language was messy. The NHL was very egotistical back in the day, and they absorbed 4 teams: the Quebec Nordiques, which became the Colorado Avalanche, the New England Whalers that became the Hartford Whalers, and then became the Carolina Hurricane, the original Winnipeg Jets that moved to Arizona to be the Arizona and Phoenix Coyotes, and then Edmonton Oilers. They didn't move, so yeah, the one team that didn't move, now they're just a kind of a garbage team. And if you know anything else about your hockey history, Atlanta was given another chance at a hockey team in 1997, 98. It was about the mid-90s, late 90s that the NHL was expanding. They also added on Nashville Predators, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Minnesota Wild to replace the old Minnesota North Stars who moved to Dallas. The Atlanta Thrashers came about as the new Atlanta team. Kind of a funny thing with, again, the naming of the Flames, that it was a fan vote to name the new Atlanta franchise. And they wanted the Atlanta Flames name again, but Calgary already had the Atlanta Flames name from before, so they didn't let the Flames name go. The Atlanta hockey team then was named the Thrashers based off of the brown thrasher, the state bird for Georgia. Kind of a weird bird. I mean, there's the Cardinals, there's the Blue Jays that are a pretty good state or country, nation bird, and Ravens also make sense, Eagles make sense, Seahawks kind of make sense too. So yeah, then Atlanta lost the Thrashers in 2011, and had this mess of a player, Evander Kane. He, in the last game that they ever played in Atlanta, well, in 2011, they played Pittsburgh Penguins, another bird name, more appropriate for hockey. And Evander Kane was a dirty player, and he just rammed this one guy. I'll put the name up above on the screen. And the Penguins player had to be carted off the ice on a stretcher. So, yeah, not a good way to end your time in Atlanta. So it's a cool hat to have. Glad I got it. So thank you to Trends Unlimited for the hat. And hockey in Atlanta doesn't really work out so well, as you've learned briefly from my telling. And if you dig in a little bit more to YouTube and Google, research it yourself and find out how badly the Atlanta supports its hockey team. I think that the South shall rise again before Atlanta gets another hockey franchise to crumble in its own hands. Thank you very much for watching today's video, this hat reveal. If you're new to the class, then welcome. Subscribe, please. I'm trying to get to 100 subs pretty soonish. I'm at about 79, 80-ish right now, so hopefully we can get that up to 100 by the end of the year. And comment down below if you have any historic hats from any folded franchises beforehand, and do you have any historic hockey team hats? I really want to get a Hartford Whaler hat. That'd be a really cool hat to get with the logo. That'll be another hat to search for next time. Thank you for watching today. Don't play with fire when you're doing your videos like I did. Be safe. And thank you for participating in today's fire drill. As always, hats off to you for watching. Have a good day, everyone. Class is dismissed. Bye, everyone.